Federal agents say they stopped what could have been one of the worst terror attacks in years. Two men, inspired by ISIS, were plotting to strike LGBTQ bars in Michigan over Halloween weekend. We'll break down how the FBI uncovered the plan and why investigators say it was moments from happening. We're learning new details about that terrorist attack that was stopped just ahead of Halloween in Michigan, an attack that authorities say could have been devastating. Federal investigators say two men in their early 20s were planning a mass shooting at LGBTQ-friendly bars in the Detroit area, inspired by the Islamic State, and they were planning to unfold that attack around Halloween. According to the 72-page criminal complaint, the suspects, 20-year-olds Mohamed Ali and Majed Mahmoud, had stockpiled weapons, practiced at firing ranges, and scoped out targets in the suburb of Ferndale. That's a city known for its large LGBTQ community. Their alleged plan was relatively simple, carrying out a Paris-style attack on crowded nightlife spots using rifles and shotguns and handguns to kill as many people as possible. Investigators say the plot was codenamed Pumpkin. It began months ago in encrypted chat rooms where the men allegedly exchanged extremist propaganda and messages about martyrdom. Okay, that's always a clue. One of their associates, a minor identified only as Person 1, reached out to a local religious figure's father days before Halloween to ask, quote, "What day should we do the good deed?" The man allegedly replied, "Do it now." That was reportedly the signal. The suspects had already purchased tactical gear, thousands of rounds of ammunition, and GoPro cameras, presumably to record the massacre, much like Hamas did on their deadly 7th October attacks. They practiced shooting at gun ranges, and they stored their weapons in a unit rented outside Detroit. Federal agents who later searched the properties found AR-15 rifles, shotguns, handguns, and body armor. Authorities say it was clear that the men were preparing for a major event. The FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force had been watching the group for weeks. Agents installed surveillance cameras near their homes, intercepted online communications, and moved in before the alleged attack could begin. Prosecutors now say the operation was ISIS-inspired but homegrown, an example of radicalization without direct foreign intervention or direction. In other words, these men weren't taking orders from the Islamic State. They were acting on their own, fueled by the group's ideology and by hatred of the LGBTQ community. The federal charges against the men include conspiracy to transfer firearms and ammunition knowing they would be used in terrorist attacks. Both men are being held without bond and face life in prison if convicted. Their detention hearing is scheduled for later this month. Investigators haven't said which bars were targeted, but they described the intended locations as LGBTQ+ establishments in Ferndale, a city that regularly hosts pride events and is considered one of Michigan's most welcoming areas for the gay community. Officials credit the FBI's early intervention with preventing what could have been a mass casualty attack. One agent familiar with the case told reporters, quote, "This was stopped in time. Had we been a week later, we'd be talking about a very different story." But the case also highlights a troubling pattern. While ISIS itself has largely been physically dismantled overseas, its digital footprint lives on, continuing to inspire followers around the world. Many of these so-called lone wolf actors aren't part of a network. They're individuals radicalized online, often blending foreign extremist ideology with domestic hate. And that, of course, makes them harder to detect and harder to stop. The Justice Department says it's seen a rise in what it calls ideologically agnostic terrorism, plots that borrow tactics or symbolism from global jihad, but are driven by local grievances or social animus. In this case, it was a combination of both. Authorities say the Michigan suspects were motivated by extremist theology and a specific desire to attack LGBTQ people. They warn that the overlap reflects a growing risk of hate-based terrorism that doesn't fit neatly into one category. For now, the focus is on ensuring no one else was involved. Federal agents have reportedly identified additional individuals who communicated with the suspects, including one foreign national whose role is still under investigation. All right, coming up next, day 35 of the government shutdown ties the all-time record. We'll tell you why there's finally a hint that it could end soon. Well, here's a hint. It could be but the politicians are now worried that their shutdown could damage their own political interests. We'll have the details. Hey, Mike Baker here. This podcast is brought to you in part by Stash. Now, let me ask you a question. What if you could start investing without ever having to pick a single stock? With Stash, the experts handle the hard part for you. Look, Stash isn't just another investing app. It's a registered investment advisor that combines automated investing with expert guidance. So you don't have to worry about figuring it out on your own. You can choose from personalized investments or let Stash's award-winning Smart Portfolio do the work for you. With Stash, investing doesn't feel like gambling. It's simple, it's smart, and stress-free, so your money can finally start working as hard as you do. Get access to world-class financial advice with personalized guidance for just $3 per monthly subscription. Stash has already helped millions of Americans reach their financial goals. So don't just let your money sit around. Put it to work with Stash. Go to get.stash.com/PDB to see how you can receive $25 towards your first stock purchase and to view important disclosures. That's get.stash.com/PDB. This is a paid non-client endorsement, not representative of all clients and not a guarantee. Investment advisory services offered by Stash Investments, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk. Offer is subject to terms and conditions. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. I want to provide an update on what's happening on Capitol Hill, where the budget standoff has stretched into day 35, now on the verge of becoming the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, as Democrats hold the line on refusing to fund the government unless health care subsidies are extended. As we've been tracking, the stalemate in Washington is visible everywhere, shuttering wide swaths of the federal government, halting aid programs, and straining airport operations nationwide. If it drags past midnight tonight, which is almost inevitable, it will surpass the 35-day record set during President Trump's first term, and that one was over the border wall funding. It all began back on the 1st of October, when the new fiscal year started without any funding bill signed into law. What began as a fight over expiring health insurance subsidies has since turned into a power struggle, with both parties accusing the other of using everyday Americans as leverage. But it's Democrats who are digging in, insisting the government stay closed until they get an extension on Obamacare's expanded tax credits, something that Republicans argue has nothing to do with keeping essential services running. As an aside, the subsidies that the Democrats are railing about were set up to expire when they were enacted, because, of course, politicians don't have the cojones to push for anything permanent, so they get by with temporary subsidies or temporary adjustments. Of course, when they passed the temporary subsidies, every single politician understood that when you give away free stuff or you provide some benefit, you can't then get the political courage to take it away when those benefits are set to expire. And voters don't like giving back stuff that they're being given. Still, inside the Capitol, the tone has shifted from outrage to cautious optimism. Senate Majority Leader John Thune told reporters, quote, "Based on my gut of how things operate," well, that's always a good way to make your decisions, "I think we're getting close to an off-ramp," he said. He says he's seeing green shoots of hope in talks that could finally push movement toward a deal. House Speaker Mike Johnson struck a similar note, saying progress is possible if Democrats stop holding the government hostage to new spending demands and show some flexibility. Even some Democrats appear uneasy about how politically damaging this has become for their party. The number 2 Senate Democrat, Dick Durbin of Illinois, admitted there's, quote, "some optimism," though he conceded talks are stuck on what he called the health care question. Across the country, the effects of the shutdown are piling up. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees are either furloughed or working without pay, some turning to local food banks to feed their families. Flight delays are worsening as air traffic controllers and TSA agents call out or quit. And for the 42 million Americans who rely on federal SNAP benefits, food stamps, well, the hit is about to get personal, with payments expected to be cut in half this month. Still, other sharp pain points seen in past shutdowns have been softened somewhat. Twice in recent weeks, the White House ordered the War Department, often called the Defense Department, to find alternate ways to pay troops, first by tapping Pentagon research funds, then later by reallocating other accounts. The president's move has kept morale stable in the ranks and reassured military families that they won't get caught in the political crossfire. Democrats, meanwhile, are accusing the White House of politicizing appropriations, a charge that Republicans, of course, dismiss as partisan theater. Even as the impasse drags on, John Thune pressed ahead with another vote today on the House-passed funding bill. That's the 14th attempt to reopen the government, only for Democrats to block it again. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Tuesday, the 4th of November. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And, of course, to listen to the show ad-free, that is very simple to do. Just become a premium member of the President's Daily Brief by visiting pdbpremium.com. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool. Hey, Mike Baker here. Let me take just a moment to talk about protecting your hard-earned assets. Now, did you know that gold is up around 40% this year? 40%. Now, that's not speculation. That's reality. And if a portion of your savings isn't diversified into gold, well, you could be missing the boat. Here's the situation. Inflation is still too high. The U.S. dollar is still too weak. And the government debt seems, well, almost insurmountable. And that's why central banks are flocking to gold, and they're the ones driving prices up to record highs. But it's not too late to buy gold from the Birch Gold Group and get your foot in the door now. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. And you don't pay a dime out of pocket. Just text PDB to 989-898 and claim your free information kit. There's no obligation. It's just useful information. Look, the best indicator of the future is the past, and gold has historically been a safe haven for generations during times of instability or economic uncertainty. Text PDB to 989-898 now to claim your free information kit on gold. That's PDB to 989-898. Protect your future today with Birch Gold.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment, a really positive, nice, and kind comment. That would be appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily updates.